I know a lot of people that have large capital gains, and I must admit, I have an MBA. I was a trained accountant, I have an econ degree, and I still do not know any details around the deferred sales trust. So what is it? How did, I mean, why do people like me not know about it who probably should know about it? I mean, there's so many questions I have, Brett. It's like blows my mind.
Yeah, let's start with the number one secret, which is this, right? This sounds too good to be true. It seems like my CPA would know about this. What's the
Yeah.
what's the magic, or what's behind the
Okay.
scenes here, right? And it's literally one story that I mean, there's multiple stories over the years, but there's one story I just want to tell everybody to give you some confidence. And it starts with a gentleman named Bill Gross. And Bill Gross, for those who don't know, and a lot of real estate people don't necessarily know about him, he's kind of like a Mark Cuban of the financial
Mhm.
advising world, securities world, and very respected, one of the top persons for 30 years. And he grew a company called
Mhm.
Pimco from 80 billion to 1.2 trillion. But he didn't build it by himself. He built it with about five gentlemen, and one in particular, his right hand guy was a guy named David
Mhm.
Young. And they built this worldwide, big money management company. And they did it for 15 years. They all retire on a big, kind of golden parachute payday, and they're done. And then four of the five guys get a little bit bored, and they form a group called Anfield Capital. And that's where David comes in, and he gets introduced to the Deferred Sales Trust about 3.5 years ago. And if you can imagine, for some of these guys that are literally managing money for some of the biggest wealth in the world,
Mhm.
wealth, pension funds, big endowments, like they're like the most respected type of group that helps manage these money. And they get approached with people all the time telling them, say, sell my tax deferral strategy to your clients. We can help you do this, do this, do this. And he goes, look, Brett, most of the time I just look at these things and I dismiss them, right?
Right.
Because they don't pass the smell test. They're doing all these things that we just know of over the years. We don't touch them.
Right.
He goes, but the deferred sales trust sounded different because it's just an installment sale, and it's a seller carryback, but
Mm.
it's with this trust. So we knew about installment sales, and
Mhm.
we were familiar with that. And he goes, but we were still very cautious because we weren't sure of if this thing was completely legal. But we did a due diligence period, and these guys are all about due diligence.
Sure.
In fact, on companies and on investments, and making sure that they're very thoughtful in their analysis of different things. And so they do it through their analysis, and they didn't do a 2 day or a 2 week or a 2 month. They did a 2 year due diligence.
Mm.
A Going over the banks, the installment sale method, they formed, signing the NDAs, going through it all. And they flew back and they met with my business partner, who's a tax attorney. And they sat down, they went through all of the thing on a whiteboard, all of the boxes, which we'll go through here in a minute. But essentially, this is what they found. After 2 years of due diligence, Michael, they found that that's the smartest person we've ever met. We call him the Beethoven of tax, how smart he is, okay? He
Okay.
worked for Arthur Anderson. He's been doing this for 25 years, thousands of closes, billions under management, has passed the IRS over a dozen times. But number two, they said we're all in. Our tax team, our legal minds, everything else that we've known for 30 years, we're all in on the deferred sales trust. And they became a part of the inner circle, and they can manage money for clients that want their assistance. And they work with our financial advisors that we're partnered with across the U.S. as
Mhm.
an extra part of kind of like the dream team to help you build wealth with the deferred sales trust. And so I always ask everyone, Michael, I say, look, if it's good enough for David Young and his legal team, after 2 years of due diligence, and they're some of the smartest folks for 30 years, much smarter than me, right, when it comes to these things in a lot of ways, is it good enough for you and your legal team? And you can talk with him directly, David directly. And that's the really neat part. They typically are only managing very large wealth. But part of when we brought him in, we said, look, if you're going to bring you in, we want you to also help the little guy. And the
Right.
little guy, our minimum is $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain. And they said, fine, we love the deferred sales trust. We love what it can do for folks. We will help manage money for those who want. It's not a
Mm.
forced. So
Right.
that's the big domino, if you will, story.